right at an hour. And
Yeah.
hey, we're live, guys. Welcome.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, out in Spray Wash land. Tonight we're going to talk with the illustrious, illuminous Mr. Scott Stone. And we're going to talk about all kinds of things, right? We're going to talk about building a business. We're going to talk about grandchildren. We're going to talk about creating a life. And that's what this business, I think, really can do for us. Being a business owner, especially, man, it makes it easier. It's not easy. Did I just say easy? It's not easy to build a life yourself, but it is. But I will say before we get started, before the pre-show here, we were talking with Scott very briefly. We didn't get very much time because somebody didn't send him the link early enough. Don't know who that might have been. But anyhow, Scott has been slacking off, man. He's only doing, 3,000 bus stops a week nowadays?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you're slacking, dude.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, a lot of people, Scott, you're pretty quiet online these days.
Mm-hmm.
I think, all of us are. We've seen social media grow and then realize it's more of just a gigantic life suck for a lot of us. And all of us, three of us, have had bigger, online presences in the past than we do now. So there's a lot of young guys that probably don't know who you are and don't who is Scott Stone from Arizona. But I met you through Power Wash store events and through an organization. And at the time, I mean, you were literally the biggest pressure washing company I had ever made. I want to say one of your gigs was 20 million or something just crazy big.
It was like 6 million a year.
6 million a year. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still,
but it was. Yeah, we had 50 employees and 35 trucks on the road.
Right. But I remember the really crazy thing about hearing that is that you had only like 45, 60 days to marshal up, make that thing happen and go, right?
I had, let me think, it was 24 days before we had to be up and running.
So
you made it happen.
So there's a lot of backstory to that because what happened is this government contract, and because it's a government contract that has to be approved by city council, and the existing contractor was fighting us every step of the way. And they're doing really fun stuff like threatening to throw me in jail for contracting without a license, and they were cruising my house, and they were intimidating my employees at night, and all sorts of fun stuff. Meanwhile, they had a really high-powered lobbyist that was fighting us. And so we won the bid in like March, and we were finally awarded the contract after we were told that there's no way it was going to happen in November.
Oh, wow.
It was a week before Thanksgiving that it was approved by city council, but then it has to wait a week to make sure there's no protest. And there wasn't. So literally the day before Thanksgiving, we got a call that said congrats at 5 p.m. They walked it down to make sure that it got approved because everyone wanted us, and it said, congratulations, you have the contract. And so from the day before Thanksgiving to December 19th, which was my birthday, was December 19th is the day we started doing the work. And we had 14 trucks on the road with machines and everything, and they were all brand new.
Wow.
Because you had to get all that put together in that short time frame. That's amazing.
Yeah, what happened is I'd worked with a really good car salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And he had all the trucks located because he believed it more than I did that we were going to get it. He had all the trucks located. As soon as I made the call, he was having trucks shipped in from California, Florida, Missouri, everywhere to make sure we got enough trucks. So, I mean, it took a team that was not necessarily part of my business to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And that was with the bus stops, yes?
Right. Yeah, that was all bus stops.
So Scott, on that $6 million a year contract, I want you to share with our listeners here how many gallons of bleach you used, how much SH you used on that $6 million
each day.
Yes.
Or over the course of the whole contract.
I tell you what, let's just go course the whole contract.
Yeah, let's play it fun and then do the math, right?
Zero, nothing, absolutely nothing. We weren't allowed to use any kind of chemicals when we were washing the pads, so it was pure hot water. We use chemicals only for removing graffiti.
It's crazy how many people just get caught up in the bleach, chemical. And you know what? There's still plenty of non-chemical, non-bleach cleaning in this industry.
Well, Arizona's not really a big bleachy area anyhow, correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every once in a while, you might get a wall that has like vines growing on it, where a mildew will form under the vines. But 120 degrees does a really good thing on mold and mildew, and no water. 120 degrees, 5% humidity. That's pretty dry.
Yeah. You're washing more dust away than anything, right? Dirt.
Well, at the bus stops, no. It's more like. Yeah. It's about everything else. Any kind of human waste you can imagine. Drug paraphernalia, whatever.
So yeah, I mean, I can imagine. I almost don't want that imagination.
I couldn't imagine that. That would just that would be horrible.
That's too much of it. I guess would be the best way to say it.
Now, one of the things that besides you just being such an amazing person, I know that you're actually one of these guys that really enjoys living life to his fullest too. I mean, you still work in the business and on the business, but you've got some pretty cool hobbies as well too that you send me pictures of from time to time. Tell everybody about that.
So about 7 or 8 years ago, I got really heavy into jeeping. I do heavy duty rock crawling. So I've gone rock crawling in Pennsylvania, in lots of Utah, California, Arizona, of course, just all over. Just do crazy stuff. Trails are rated 1 to 10. And I did the Rubicon Trail. Technically it's a 10. It's probably really closer to a 7 or 8, but 8 or 9 on the 1 to 10 scale. And 1 to 10 is usually like a full buggy trail where you're not worried about any kind of body damage.
Yeah.
So are you friends with Richard Cashon? And I say his name wrong every time. So just so you know that.
Richard Cashon?
Yeah, because he's heavy into jeeping as well. So I thought maybe you guys had hooked up at some point.
Yeah, but he's mud jeeping though.
But he's in Mississippi. I just didn't know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, I don't do mud.
Yeah. Those are nutria that he's running over in Mississippi, not rocks.
Right. No, I no. Mud breaks stuff and gets dirty. You have to clean it and hard. And who wants to clean stuff? I mean, come on, really?
No, I don't think he's. I mean, he does some mud, I think, but I think he does a lot of others. I think he does a lot of the rock climbing and stuff like that as well. So because
not in Mississippi. I mean, I've never seen a rock in Mississippi.
There's a couple of them.
Mississippi is so flat that you can watch your dog run away for 3 days.
Yeah. That's like Louisiana.
Yeah. I mean,
Oklahoma is the worst.
You roll a marble.
There's no trees in the way.
15 miles to stop,
Yeah, right.
Well, at least with all the oil refineries and natural gas and all that kind of stuff, at least there's a nice aroma when you get into Louisiana.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of the thing. So what are your other hobbies?
Like to play with my grandbabies. I have a Ford F-100 that I've been working on for 3 or 4 years now. I bought just before COVID started, and I was going to totally rebuild it, and it's still being worked on. It's just taking more time.
78?
76.
76.
So 76 4-wheel drive, short bed F-100.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have the gas station as your office? The old gas station?
I do. Yeah, it's perfect. It's like half an acre with just a 1,800 square foot building on it with two bays, and it's plenty big for how many trucks we have. I have 10 trucks and 4 or 5 trailers there, and
perfect.
Works out really well.
So what made you what made you go after that contractor? How did you get started in that realm of it, I guess?
So literally, this is a long story. I'll try to make it as short as I can. 20 years ago. about 25 years ago, I won a contract with the city that I live in. I live in Mesa, Arizona. It's the biggest city you've never heard of. There's a population of 500,000. So it's a big city.
Right.
To clean their municipal vehicles. And the contractor that had the City of Phoenix bus stop contract was out of New York, and they lost the City of Phoenix contract, so they're just going to totally pull out because there wasn't enough money for them to continue staying in. So I received a bid offering in the mail. So I thought, oh, what the heck? So I put in a bid. About 3 months later, they call me up and say, congratulations, you won the bid. And I go, what bid? I'd totally forgotten about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had to rent a truck because they wanted to start right away to get contract started. And we rented a truck, got started doing the contract, and I figured out that, you know what, I can make money at this. So I started looking into all the things that would be required for me to go after the Phoenix contract, because, you know, obviously it's a huge contract.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found out I had to have a contractor's license and all this other stuff. So I went and I dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, and made sure I had all the licensing I had. And the first time it came up, I didn't win. They tossed my bid because they didn't take it seriously because they didn't know who I was. Second time was when I won it, and they actually called me saying, do you know what you're getting into? Do you actually clean bus stops? And they actually called my city, the city of Mesa, and said, do you think this guy can handle this? And they said, oh, yeah, no, he'll be fine. Don't worry about him. And so from that point on, I had the city staff's backing to get the contract.
Mm-hmm.
And we won the contract by about $10,000 a year.
Wow.
It worked out to less than 2 cents a stop.
Wow.
Dang.
That's razor thin.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
amazing
that's
that they went ahead and went with me. So the other company must have been doing something wrong. It's the only thing I can figure.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, because why else would they? Because a lot of the times, unless it's they have to bid thing, right? Other than that, I mean, contracts like that sometimes are yours to lose. I mean, they're not typically going out and rebidding and all that kind of stuff, unless they're required by the.
Yeah, they're required to bid it every 5 years.
Yeah.
So it'll be up for bid in another 3 years or so. I may bid it, I may not. Depends on what I decide to do with my life at that time. I have plans now that we talked about, but nothing's ever set in stone.
But that's that could be your memoir, Scott Stone. Nothing's ever set in stone, right there.
Right?
So, just tell me what I mean. That's big. So, tell me what some of the thoughts are on bidding out a recurring. And is this bus stops? Is this going weekly, monthly?
Some of them are cleaned 5 days a week or 6 days.
Okay.
So you have a constant staff going in every single day.
Okay.
And they're cleaning a single bus stop every single day?
Yeah.
Or is it like in a rotation of the bus stops?
So we have guys going out every day, and the logistics of it were really hard because some are cleaned like once a week, some are cleaned twice a week, some are cleaned 3 times a week, and some are cleaned 5 times a week. You can imagine what the 5-time-a-week bus stops look like.
Yeah.
They're in the worst parts of the city usually, and they're usually just a mess.
And they're probably not. It probably looks like nobody's actually cleaned it within 24 hours of somebody getting there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It probably looks like no one's cleaned it within an hour of someone cleaning
Wow.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So
it's
Scott,
just nuts.
Without giving away obviously your trade secrets, but for guys doing bids like that, what's logistics you mentioned? What are some of the? I mean, what does somebody need to do to figure out these logistics?
First of all, you have to have experience managing people because you're going to have a whole bunch of people. And if you've run a business of any size, you realize that there's a lot of skill that comes to managing people, the organization of it all. My background and specialty is actually logistics. So
Right.
figuring out how to get people from one spot to another or material from one spot to another, because I used to drive a truck,
Mm-hmm.
but I also did dispatching. I also, before I went full-time cleaning, I worked for a dairy, which everyone loves to make fun of. I was the milkman. but I had 150 employees working for me.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And so you learn a lot, especially managing 150 truck drivers, of how to get people to do things.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
I
But
couldn't even
then
imagine doing that in today's day and age.
it was crazy. It was crazy. But, I was dumb. I figured it out. I got it done. My guys liked me.
Yeah.
I was a guy, hey, I'm running late for a doctor's appointment. Can you help me? So I go help them. And, that does a lot to buy loyalty. It's really amazing.
No, it really does. You help some. Although, Tanya pointed that I have way too. One of my weaknesses is helping people.
Yeah.
And Tanya pointed this out to me the other day, and she said, if you're a giver has to have limits, because a taker has no limits. Just by definition, the takers are going to take and take and take and take. So really, you as the giver, you've got to wind up having your limitations on there to make it, stop. It made a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's certain limitations, but I'm also like that. I'm more than willing to help anyone, anytime.
I am too.
You know my personality.
Yeah.
I practice intentional kindness.
Yes, absolutely.
And my church, we're asked to minister to different people, just a member of the church. And I always ended up with the widows or the single women that were living in poverty and figuring out a way to help them. And I learned a lot just by helping them about being a giver, being charitable to people.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what you can learn about yourself as well by being a giving person.
Yeah. But it's interesting how that transfers to bus stops because of all the homeless people we deal with. Mm-hmm. I've learned that, if you talk to them like they're human beings, they're way, way more helpful than if you're.
Scott, it's funny you mentioned that because I did so much government nothing like the scale that you did, but pretty big for my area. And one of my contracts was cleaning the park in Tallahassee that was notorious for having the homeless people hang around there. And there were picnic shelters, and the homeless people would go and put their little belongings up in the rafters of the picnic shelters. Now, it might not
they'd make it their home.
Yeah, it might not be a lot. It might be a can of Beanie Weenies and a paperback book and a rolled up poncho,
Uh-huh.
And I had guys that would basically, so I was told by some people, just throw that crap away. Hit it with a gun, knock it down on the ground, throw it away. What my approach was to it was I would go and take it, move it over to the side for something, and then I'd wash the unit, and I'd have 2 or 3 homeless guys coming over, and they'd say, "Hey, have you seen?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's right over there. It's right over."
Uh-huh.
I was like, "I know you don't have a lot, but I don't want to ruin the little that you have." Mm-hmm. And I found that on subsequent cleanings, whenever I showed up and said, "Hey guys, I need to clean this," they'd say, "Hey, Mr. Ray, cool, come on in, do this. Let me grab my stuff." And if any of the ones would try to give me crap about that, they would police him real quick about it, going, No, Mr. Ray takes care of us. Move your stuff and get out of his way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to work in biker bars. Mm-hmm. Now, if you know me, that makes it even funnier, right?
Right.
But for Dirty Dozen or Hells Angels or whatever, I deliver pinball machines or whatever. But because I was always nice to them and wasn't really scared of them, probably because I didn't realize I should be scared of them, they took really good care of me because I was like 16 or 17. But they took really good care of me. If people started messing with me, there was hell to pay.
Right.
For no,
I think it's that way with employees too. I mean, right? You take care of them; they're more apt to take care of you. And in today's, it's so hard to have. Everybody's talking about how hard it is to find employees, and
it's a nightmare.
Yeah, and to keep them and all that sort of thing. So,
yeah, if I can keep someone for 3 months, usually I can keep them as long as I want them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, sometimes it's hard to keep them 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
You spend a week training them, and they're on their own for 2 days, and all of a sudden, because it's a low training level, and they're gone. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, I got COVID. My daughter was sick, so I decided I didn't need to work anymore. It's like,
Right.
wait, so how are you going to support your family? I'm not understanding this.
Mhm. And how many employees do you have now?
We have 7 right now,
7.
plus my wife and I. My wife takes care of the books. I do a lot of the mechanical, the repairs, and all that sort of stuff.
And you've
So
been known
going from
between
150 employees down to 7, that must be a nice break.
I spent most of July out of town, and I spent 3 of the past 4 weeks out of town. So yeah, it is. It's really nice, and I have people I can trust.
Yeah.
Right.
And Scott, but hold on, before you get all heady with how much time you spend out of town, I've also known you to go and take on 24 or 30,000 square foot parking garages by yourself too.
Actually, the biggest one I ever did by myself was 300,000 square feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
It took me a few days. It took me like 5 days to do it.
Right.
That was moving and grooving.
Yes, that is.
But
Yes.
that's also being dedicated to what you're doing. I mean, there's a lot of guys that they'll look at something like that. They won't even bid on it if they've got to, I don't want to say this wrong, but like if they got to work at it, kind of a thing. Or if they run into a scenario where their employees walk out on them, they like give up. Or, I know one of the things that I kind of became famous for in one of my previous companies was, I had a guy walk up and, one of them things where he just said, his attitude and all that was going downhill. And he said to me, about, you need me. Right. And that was his thing. You can't do anything about it because you need me. And I'm like, you know what? I absolutely do need you. Now, why don't you take the next 7 days off? Think about it. This is without pay. And if you'd like to come back, fill out a new application, all that kind of stuff. And because I would like to have you come back, but you're out of here for at least the next 7 days, kind of a thing. And that was a big change in my own mindset and changed the way all the dynamics work. Because, yeah, do I need you? Yes, I do. Do I need you? No, I don't. I'll make another way.
Right.
Because I can't allow a cancer to go on within the company.
Well, I used to, one of the things, Doug, I've mentioned to you about with the changing dynamic of what I do now as opposed to what I did at Spray Wash, So nowadays I'm at the mercy of FedEx, UPS, Power Wash Store, National, Suttner, suppliers, distributors. I mean, I'm just lowest guy in the food chain, just above whoever buys it from me. But I've got all of these forces above me that impact me down here that may or may not, that may make it to where my order gets fulfilled or not. At Spray Wash, I had anywhere from 5 to 10 employees at any given time. And literally 10 employees could call out and say, well, Ray, we're all sick. We're not coming in and blah, blah, blah. The hospital project will have to wait till tomorrow. No. It's not, as a matter of fact. I mean,
not if you're going to be successful.
Yeah, I may have already worked 10 hours that day, but guess what? Hospital was getting done. It may mean I'm working 18 or 24 hours, but hospital, my bread and butter contract was getting done that night, and it was by me alone. Things, if FSU, if we had the Westcott building, scheduled, and suddenly, everybody had to call out for that. Well, Ray, we'll show you. And I mean, I've had guys plenty of times come back in on a Monday after calling out, a weekend crew wouldn't work, and they're thinking, we'll show him. And they come back and like, well, what about that project we were supposed to do last weekend? I was taken care of.
It's already done.
Don't worry about it. It's done.
Yeah.
How'd you do? Don't worry about it. I got it done,
Well, there have been, my guys are scheduled for 10-hour days. We work 4 10s, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And there have been times where I've had 2 people calling sick on the same day, and I'm short-staffed anyway. So usually if I'm short-staffed, I go out and run a route because I want to get it done. I want to keep on schedule because schedules make you money.
Right.
Right.
Organization makes you money. Well, if a guy calls out, guess what? I'm taking 2 10-hour routes and I'm doing them. And usually when I do that, my guys are just blown away. It's like, you're 62 years old, you're out doing 2 routes, and I'm 32, and it's like,
and I can't even keep up.
it has to get done. It has to get done.
And you know what? Most of that is right here. You know, it's a mindset thing that, you know, and I don't want to say people of today, because it's been going that way for quite some time, where, you know, they just, it's really everything that you do is within your mindset. And if you have that attitude of, man, that's just a mountain, there's no way I can climb it. Yeah, you're not going to be able to climb it. But if you just say, you know what, that's a mountain I got to get to the top of, so I better get going, and you just go, you'll get there.
Scott, you don't look a day over 61.
First step. What's that?
I said you don't look a day over 61. By the way, I would have.
Yeah, thanks. You're a liar, but that's okay.
What were you saying about the first step?
You actually look way past 62, but.
I have a special package to you. Make sure no one else is around when you open it, okay? No, if you know, a lot of it's just, you have to take that first step. If something's going to be hard, you're not going to get anything accomplished if you're going to whine and cry about it. You get it accomplished by just taking the first step and taking the second step and third step, you know, and just, as long as you're moving, you're not dying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get all the time the question asked to me just really frequently, well, how do I bid that? How much should I charge? You know, guys that are trying to venture into these little bit bigger projects on there. And I said, knowing your numbers are so important in all facets of your business, but not only financially, this does kind of go back to financially, but your production rates. What is it you can do? What are you capable of? And I don't care if you've got a 2.8 AAA pump on a Honda 200, or if you've got twin linked, you know, 8 gallon a minutes, you know, that are Siamese. You have got to know what you're capable of doing with a surface cleaner, with a pressure washer, with however you're attacking this.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just a winding, how many square feet can you do in an hour? If it's surface cleaning, how many square feet can you do in an hour on there? You know, and that's what a lot of guys don't bother to figure out.
But it even goes further than that. You have. I know what the average miles per gallon each of my trucks makes.
Right.
You know, and the crazy thing is I have 4 trucks that have a 6.2 liter diesel or gas engine.
Mm-hmm.
Ford, they're all Fords because I'm a Ford guy.
Same.
So 4 trucks, and they get 6.2 miles to the gallon running around town. I have 1 truck that's 4-wheel drive and that got the 7.3 liter Ford motor because that's all we could get when we had to buy that truck.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets 7.4 miles per gallon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know why the 4-wheel drive with bigger engine gets better mileage, but you know,
But it does.
It's good information to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, knowing what that truck costs you every day to roll out, you know, sometimes people would be surprised at what it costs for me to operate a truck every single day. And I knew that this truck costs this much to go out the door every day, and that truck costs that much to go out the door every day, and that truck costs this much to go out the door every day, because I had to know, you know, I mean, it doesn't do me any good to sell jobs to break even, or even worse, to make, you know, to pay for that truck to go out. And sometimes I had to, but you got to know what those numbers are, and in order to be able to make it past that point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my wife says, well, why don't you bid that job cheaper? I tell her, because I can stay home and not work and go to broke slower than paying to go out and do the job.
I can go broke sitting on that couch right back there. Why am I going to pay
and it'll be slower, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Huh.
So
You're big.
rig trucks in a truck and new local rig builders. Yeah.
No, you know what? I've had the last couple of days, especially, I've been really, really exhausted. And then earlier today, I had this, I don't know, it was almost like maybe I was catching an ear infection or something. And I was really kind of echoed and tunneled and all that. And then just all of a sudden that went away. But yeah, I'm super exhausted for whatever reason. I probably caught what Ray had, whatever it was, right?
Mhm.
We-
He has
We
been
won't talk-
here passing gas on me, right? Somebody made a comment, earlier.
That's on your head, yeah.
I didn't catch it. I guess I could move over, but yeah.
But but where we're going, that the mileage, absolutely. You need to know the numbers of every facet of your business, and so you've not done a 35,000 square foot garage yet. Well, what have you done? And somebody mentioned, Anthony just mentioned about, it depends on the drainage. Really, absolutely has a huge impact on there. What is the drainage? We've probably all done driveways. So I remember the first shopping center that I ever did, and I had never done a shopping center before. And if y'all remember the old, oh goodness, Scott, Russ. He was up in Alabama, kind of an OG washer.
Oh yeah, I know Russ.
Russ Spence. And
Yeah.
I sat there and posted pictures and was kind of heady and thinking real tough about myself, and people think Facebook is mean now. You have no idea.
I have a 30,000 square foot shopping center, right?
Yeah, I mean,
What are you going to do with the rest of your day?
And Russ literally goes, "Hey, thanks for giving me your contact's phone number." And I was like, and I look back at the picture, and sure enough, it had the leasing agent's phone number, there in one of the back windows. And Russ would never not be the kind of guy that would actually steal that from me, but he did so.
That's why he was letting you know about it.
Exactly. But it was a good point going, you really need to be kind of careful about that, because there would be people that would literally take and zoom in there, get that phone number out and call the people. But, I remember this shopping center, and I said, okay, I've never done anything this big anymore. What is it? How do I price this out? How do I price this thing? And I said, wait a minute. I have done 3,000 square foot houses. And if I went and unfolded a 3,000 square foot house, how does that stack up on this 30,000 foot shopping center here? What does that look like in comparison to it? Turned out it was about 10 3,000 square foot houses. If I unfolded those houses and went, foot around there. And I said, well, that would take me, 3 days to do 10 houses with the current equipment that I had. And it was like 10 different driveways on there. And that would take me X. So I started looking at the numbers like that and was like, okay, this makes sense as far as how I'm going to price this. Now, what am I not doing? I'm not driving from job to job. I'm literally going to be parked there all day long. I'm not losing any work time. So can I work at a discount? Yeah, probably could a little bit,
You're also not setting up and tearing down multiple times.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right. That's something on your bus stops you have to consider. You're constantly going, moving, and you probably don't have the setup because you're carrying the water with you. But one of the things we always loved about commercial, and Doug and I said many times on our sorry
podcast show.
Yeah, you see that pretty easy math there, right? See what I did there?
He's a sharp one, yeah.
Hey, that's Tallahassee's second biggest washer right there.
Okay.
Oh man, I don't know. I hope not, because I'm infecting the crap out of these guys if they can.
That's it.
But that's just one way of looking at your pricing. But it still cracks me up, Scott, to see that I still look at some of these forums and I made $300 an hour today. No, you didn't. You may have made $300 for the hour that you worked today, but there's a lot more than 1 hour or 2 hours in a day.
Well, you and I were talking about that earlier today, Ray, where we were talking about, man, would I do $1,600 for 3 hours? Sure. Said I'd do $1,600 for 10 hours. Yeah. And then you look at it and go, no, wait a minute. That's only $160 an hour. And when you think about it, okay, with all my expenses and everything else on there, am I making money? Hopefully you're making money at $160 an hour, but at the same time, there's other money out there a lot of times that you can make, and you got to look at all your costs, and it goes all back to the same thing. And that is knowing your numbers. Can I work at 10 hours for $1,600 and make money?
Right.
Or am I losing money at that? Dependent, do I got 2 guys on there, 3 guys, 5 guys? What's really there? So
Well, yeah, you have to know your operating costs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know how much it costs me for to have a guy out working for an hour, and it's not just his wages, but there's a truck that he's running. That truck costs money. I know that about every 6 months there's going to be a $2,000 repair on the truck because that's the way trucks work.
Yeah.
You
Funny
have
how that
to,
happens with the
yeah, right.
the other
And
side of that.
I don't even buy old trucks. I buy new trucks, but it
Right.
still happens.
So
Well,
did you ever track the production of particular employees as an example? Because I would have to think about that sometimes where I'd be like, okay, I know that this employee could get that done in a day. Otherwise, I got to send these 2 guys to make up for that 1 employee, kind of a thing.
We have established routes that guys run, and they have a certain number of stops that they have to do. And there's a certain amount of mileage that's with each route, because I'm not going to switch from a Ford. Sorry. I like trucks that run. Anyway, I know that there's a certain number of miles they have to travel and all that. And so I have one guy that I know that he's going to do 90 stops every day in 10 hours. And he's going to drive about 100 miles doing it, because he has to go clear on the other side of town, other side of Phoenix. And Phoenix is a big area. Doug, you saw how big Phoenix is. It's huge.
Yeah. Yep.
And so,
But so
I know. Then I have another guy that claims he's our fastest guy. He had to run a bigger route today, and it's like, oh, this route took me 10 hours. Normally, I'm done in 8. Exactly. You're not the fastest guy.
Right.
Exactly.
But so that and not just on route work, but this is what we always try to impress upon people, understanding those numbers. But yeah, I'm going to go back to the $300 an hour, because that's that mythical number that so many dodos put out there on YouTube that you can make. But there's 10 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever you determine your work day to be, there's that many hours in a day. And so if you wash one house for $300 and it takes you 1 hour, you have in fact not made $300 per hour. You've made $300 divided by 8. Less your expenses, I might want to add in there as well too. If you do 2 houses and now you've got $600 in there, fantastic. It takes you 3 hours to do that. Well, you still are doing other things.
Yeah, you have to get your equipment together. You have to load your truck. You have to get your chemicals together. You have to drive to the job. All those things figure into the cost of doing business.
So when you run your routes, do you do that as an incentive base? Like you get X per stop, or is it just per hour? Do you have any kind of bonus structure? How do you proceed?
They're all, for what we do, they're paid by the hour.
Yeah.
They're guaranteed 40 hours. And if they get done in 35 hours, they still get paid 40 hours. So that's what their incentive is.
So long as it's done a good job. What about,
we actually have people inspecting it every day.
Yeah.
I have a supervisor that goes out and inspects it every day.
So you've got a quality control guy going around.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because it just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm about to have a Tiki's uprising here, apparently, with my Tallahassee guys out there. So
they're all wanting it.
Yeah, we'll have to work that out and have a Tiki's day.
I think you ought to come to Arizona. You'd have fun.
Yeah. Hey,
can you imagine driving your truck across the country?
Everybody smiles with a snow cone. That's why we enjoy doing that. So.
We could stop all the wars if we just started shipping snow cones, right?
There you go.
They should take the Tiki's trucks and ship them.
It's halal
all over there. Yeah,
I got a kosher snow cone and a halal snow cone. There you go.
Which are really the same thing, but hey, okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh goodness. You know what? He's coming back. You better be ready. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. So Scott, just so you know, I've been trying to, not hard, but I should press a little bit harder, but to get Ray, we should turn this into a little bit more of a political show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, we would be kicked off the air probably so fast it's not even funny. But he's coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
And the funny part, okay, never mind. I'm about to go all political, right? No.
So how many ounces of flavoring goes into a snow cone? Asking for a friend. Well, see, that really is up to you because we're Tikis and you're allowed to make your own. I hand you a delicious cup of Hawaiian shaved ice, point to our patented serve board on the side of the truck and say, have at it, Chief. So really, if you don't even like your flavor, you're the only one to blame. You mixed it wrong.
That darn suicide might be suicidal, right?
Oh, wait, what do you mean pina colada grape tastes like crap? Duh.
You poured it. How many flavors you got on that truck, Ray?
10. Keep it. It's a KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I see these guys on. Of course, I'm on. And one day we're going to do just a show talking about the similarities between like the snow cone forums and the pressure washing forums out there on Facebook, because of the snow cone forums. The guys, well, I've had Kona and I've had Tikis, and it's just really inferior crap ice. I don't like the way that it shaves, and it's crunchy and chunky, and they don't have the variety of flavors. I've got 487 different varieties that I can make, and we put whipped cream and chocolate drizzled and shamrock sprinkles on all of ours. And I'm like, yeah, dude, but I can do 400 an hour.
Yeah, 400 an hour at $2 a piece. That's $800. And you're probably making $300 an hour doing it too.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. It's kind of like, guys. It's it's whiskey flavor.
Stephen, yes, whiskey is a flavor.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to, he actually has to fill that on the other side, not on the outside.
That goes out the back door, but it really is. It's funny how people are like that because the guys are. It's the same way as it's just different schools of thought. It's different methods of doing it. It's a quantity versus quality. It's I see some of these creations that these guys do. They put their heart and soul into it, and it takes 5-6 minutes to make one. It takes me 10 seconds to make one.
I love these comments coming through. I like this one here where it says, "I'm just going to start handing my pressure washer to my customers and saying, have at it there, buddy boy." And then this one here, unfortunately, Palm Tree, you can't get $2 a snow cone in his area because it's saturated. I love those.
The Nicole Anglin, how are you, darling? Hope you are doing well, and congratulations on that awesome son of yours.
Yeah.
If y'all saw him, he's he just got out of Marine boot camp. So.
Oh, good for him.
Yes. Thank you for your service. Please pass along our regards to him.
That's a great accomplishment that'll change his life.
Yes, sir. It will. Well, God knows he already started behind the 8 ball with Nicole as a mom. So.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm kidding. I love you.
She lives really close to you compared to me, right?
Yeah, that's right. She's technically just down up the interstate from me. She could come and kick my butt in the sleep. Yeah. Oh,
come by to find your house got egged in the morning.
Yeah, that's a good woman.
TP'd and all that kind of fun.
I enjoy her.
So what's your biggest joy in life at this point now? That I mean, because you can pretty much do whatever you want, right? For the most part.
I can do pretty much whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to smile, it's grandbabies. I have 2 grandsons. They're the best. One's 4, one's 2, and
Oh, just wait.
you love to see them come because they're always so happy to see you, and then you also love to see them go when they leave because you're exhausted by the time they're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have it any other way because that means I've been playing hard with them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say your biggest key to success was with your company?
For me,
Yeah.
I am the guy that if my customer has a problem with anything, I will figure out a way to get it accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, we had this bus stop get hit by a semi and it's flat. Can you get it out of there so it's not dangerous? Well, yeah. All it takes is time and money, And amazing. If it's dangerous, the cities will spend any amount to get it taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, we don't want to take this bus stop out, but there's cracks. Is there someone that that can weld this? Well, I can weld it.
Yeah.
Now, I have been on the side of a street multiple times welding up a bus stop that had been hit by a car or by a bus because bus drivers don't know how to drive.
Yeah.
I love this one. How do you figure out what makes you happy? Firing 43 of your employees.
You know what? When we had to cut down our company, it broke my heart. Because we had such good people working for us. There's some that I was happy to get rid of.
Right.
Right.
They're nothing but a hemorrhoid the whole time they work for me. But others, this fantastic, amazing people that worked hard, showed up, did their job, and went home.
Right.
In fact, we still have a few of them. In fact, one of the guys that was my supervisor that quit to go work for someone else is actually getting ready to start back up with us in the next couple of days on a part-time basis because he knows that we treat him right and we're going to take care of him. But it's also someone I can trust.
It's one of my favorite things in the world where guys who used to work for me, still come into the store and have great relationships with them. Guys, that worked for me over the years and still get to see a lot of them, get to talk to others on the phone. They order from us and it's good. It makes you feel like maybe you've done something a little bit right, in your life.
You know what? You know what makes me happiest, Doug, now that I think about it, is watching the people that have worked for me become successful in their own right. Nothing makes me happier than seeing one of my guys buy a house or buy a new car or, be able to go on vacation with his family. There have been times, as a reward, we have a Marriott timeshare and we'll give them a week at a resort, and they love it because it's not something they'd normally afford because the Marriott resorts are nice.
I know.
They're really nice.
Yeah. You and I've talked about them before. They were, we're Tanya and I the same thing. We would carry the guys down to Orlando with us back when we had Spray Wash and stuff. And I remember one year we went and did Halloween Horror Nights and then put them up, for a couple of days at the Marriott down there. And it was, they were able to bring your families and all kind of great stuff, and this is not something that these guys, even though the guys were making great money, it probably wasn't something they would necessarily do for themselves. But we were proud. We were proud to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's something they wouldn't even dream they'd ever be able to do.
Right.
Because a lot of my guys, they grew up in the south side of town, the poorer part of the town. Mm-hmm. And one of my, in fact, the guy that's my supervisor right now, his mom went to jail when he was 15, and he's been on his own since he was 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And he's 37 or 38 now. Mm-hmm. But he's making a successful life for himself. He's been married to the same girl for 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, one of the things you got to, wow, did that thing just go right out my head? Never mind.
Well, it's that heart. I think Scott's saying it's that heart of a servant. And that's probably one of the things that makes you a good leader and a good employer right there. If you have that heart, of a servant. Yeah.
Well, I worry about my guys. You know,
Yeah.
I want them to be safe. I want them to be. I don't want to have to call their wives or their girlfriend or anyone saying, so and so's not coming home tonight because they got hit by a car. You know, I just don't. I don't want that to happen. So I do everything I can in my power to make them safe. That
Yep.
includes getting after them for putting out cones that they need to put out cones behind the truck,
Yep.
or they need to wear their high visibility shirts or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, make sure they're wearing their respirator if they're spraying bleach.
You know, Steve.
Well, yeah. You know, we actually have a stack of respirators in each of our trucks for bleach,
Mhm.
or not. but you know, maybe a mask when they're spraying down some poop,
Yeah.
you know, or some urine or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little urine never hurt anybody. You know,
That is sterile, but you know, it smells bad.
yeah. See, and Stephen, I honestly, I know your employees, and you know, they come in a lot, and they have the utmost respect for you too. You know, you can tell. I can tell how good a boss is by what the employees say about the boss whenever
Right.
the boss isn't around, and his guys love him. You know,
Mhm.
absolutely. And yeah, we were
Well,
always
that's part of what I was going to say earlier, where we talk about doing things for our employees and stuff, but we also have to remember that sometimes what we want, what we think is good for them, they may not think is good for them. And I remember I used to do we would do 2 weeks off every year, paid for, and
Yeah.
I would always do that at Christmas time. So we would take off from like December 23rd, 24th. We'd stay off through Christmas, and then all the way through the new year, and then 2 weeks off, everybody got paid, and to me it was just great, good family time. Well, what I thought was such a great thing for them, some of them didn't, and they wanted the week off during that Christmas and New Year, but they wanted to take a week off whenever they wanted to go enjoy something else. And so I had to realize, what, that's true. So then it became their thing, where yes, we take off every week at Christmas. If you don't want to take that off, okay, you're still taking it off, just not getting paid. If you want to take 2 weeks off some other time, great. You're getting paid for 2 weeks off. But if you take 2 weeks off during the year, you're taking that time off at Christmas and not getting paid for it, because to me, you're not working Christmas and New Year, Christmas Day and all that kind of stuff anyhow. So.
Right. And we do a lot of the same stuff. Our guys get a week paid vacation every year. It's not much, but we have a regular route we have to run. But I actually have guys that would rather me pay them out on their vacation and keep working. One of my guys worries that if he takes vacation, he won't have a job when he comes back. It's like, dude, you're one of my most valuable people. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's his worry. If he doesn't have 40 hours a week, if he gets done with his route in 36 hours, he finds 4 hours worth of work to do, because he's worried that if he doesn't work 40, he's not valuable.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go back to that. A lot of people mistake that having that heart of a servant is showing kind of weakness to your employees, but
not at all.
It's really, really not. And if you go back into that whole, and just because you're good and you want to help people doesn't mean that you can't actually be the put it like this. Whenever people always say, what would Jesus do? I love that saying, that remember that grabbing a whip and overturning tables is not out of the realm of possibilities in there either. Mm-hmm. So, just being the great guy doesn't mean you're necessarily a pushover either, because sometimes you have to be the boss.
But why was he grabbing the whip and tipping over tables?
He was running the money changers out of the temple.
They're disrespecting his father. What would you do if someone disrespected your wife? Yeah. Pretty much the same thing.
I did, Scott, if you remember, about 7 years ago.
Now, be nice. It's hard to check.
This is a family show. I had a.
You're still hemorrhaging.
I had a worker I had a customer that, he had been with us for probably 2 or 3 years at that point, and he called my office and was belligerent to my office person, who at the time also happened to be my mom. Right? It didn't matter that it was my mom. It mattered that it was not even my employee. It mattered that it was another person. Right? And he called up, and because he's super wealthy and he doesn't care about other people. And not, hey, great, whatever. But you don't call up my office and treat anybody in my staff that way. You can talk to me however you want, but you're not talking to them that way. And so, she told me, hey, he really wanted me to call back. So, I waited, longer than, I would have otherwise called him back, but I called him back and, and he started going off and off. And I said, hey, let me interrupt you for just a second. None of this matters to me. And he's like, what do you mean it doesn't matter to me? I said, we don't work for you, so it doesn't matter for me. And he's like, what do you mean? You're coming to do my job next week? And I'm like, no, we're not.
No, we are not.
That was the quickest way to get fired as a customer for us, is to disrespect our employees.
Oh, absolutely.
Our especially, you can disrespect me. You want to? Heck, you can disrespect Tanya. She's a big girl. She can stand up for herself. Mm-hmm. But you disrespect the guys that are out there working for a wage on your property. No. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, man, that is guys, this is one of the most poignant things I've ever heard. I love this, Stephen. Bridges can be burned and new wood is expensive these days.
Exactly.
Woo! That's deep.
Well, it's just like when we first started the Phoenix contract, we had a hydrant that we filled up at every day. And we had a couple of black guys that worked for us. And some of the neighbors, there's some apartments there, were giving them a bad time. And so what's Scott going to do? Mm-hmm. It blew my wife away. I was out there. I was ready to fight.
Oh, yeah.
She said, you're not going to hurt somebody. I said, oh, yeah. If they're going to bother my guys, I'm going to hurt somebody.
I had a backflow tester who sat there and got very, very ugly to two young black men that worked for me. And I remember, and I was on the phone with this guy. He's on the company phone because I told Perry to put him on the phone. And I said, stay right there because I'm about to drive over there and kick your ass for disrespecting my employees like this. And I literally got in the truck and whenever I got over there, Perry's like, Mr. Ray, he left. He left. And I was like, he's like, why'd you come over here? And I was like, because nobody's going to talk to you like that. That's utterly ridiculous. And it was just this dumb white trash redneck who saw two young black men there working and thought he was going to just be tough and give them crap. And I don't play that,
Yeah. The 50s are gone. You can't do that anymore.
Bingo. Yeah. Sorry. Nobody needs your pointy white hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in the closet.
My wife says, I'm never afraid to go anywhere with you because I know your temper. I know your background. Mm-hmm. I know you'd kill somebody with your hands if they bothered me. Mm-hmm. And my wife's no shrinking violet, that girl got moxie.
Yeah.
So, Scott, I don't know if you know, but my wife is the reigning gold Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion for her age and weight division right now.
Oh, good for her.
World champion.
So you don't give her any lip?
I don't give her any lip at all. No.
She's also like 93 pounds too. So, I mean, it's a small.
Yeah, I better not say what she is because then I'll get in trouble.
No, don't.
And I don't want to get in trouble.
No, that's always advisable. I used to box competitively. It's like, I'm not afraid. I'm afraid of going up against no one. I don't care how big you are. I'm not afraid because there's no sense. I'm just not afraid. So I go in the worst parts of town without fear because, confidence wins you a lot.
Yeah.
Whether it's a customer or people around you, and people can feel if you're confident or not.
I remember being in the Bahamas on a cruise one year, and you're walking down in Nassau, and there's a couple of guys that they're more Tanya's friends than my friends. It was a big company-wide cruise, and I'm just walking, and they're getting. I'm here kind of the point of the vanguard, and they're getting, everybody is coming up to them. Yeah, man, you want to buy some smoke, man? Hey, I got you a little, here, come here. And finally the guys came and they're like, why is nobody talking to you? And everybody is back here bugging us. And I'm like, because you have no confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
You're walking around.
You're exuding it.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm in a foreign country. I'm not carrying in the Bahamas. I usually am here in America, but I still have the same walk and the same confidence and the same. I have purpose with where I'm going. And it's whenever you start lacking that purpose and you lack that confidence that you become a target.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of months ago, I was working and I had a guy pull a knife on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but I started laughing at him. I said, "What did you do?" He goes, "Well, I want your money." I said, "Listen, it's 8:00 at night. I'm 62 years old. I have a wife and 4 kids. Do you really think that I have money? I'm cleaning a bus stop."
Yeah.
He goes, "Never mind." Took his knife and walked away. It's like, come on, really?
I will. I'll never forget. I saw this guy, the guy that truly had his eyes light up. It was a man that realized that he did not have long left on this earth. And I was washing up. Wasn't even in that bad of an area of town, but about 2 a.m. guy, pulls in the parking lot and he comes up and he's like, turn them pumps on. And I was like, dude, I'm pressure washing it. I said, I don't work here. I'm pressure washing it. It's obviously shut down. Everything's dark. I need some gas. And he's walking around my rig looking. I said, "Mister, I don't have any gas." I said, "and the station's closed." And my door's open on the truck and I'm literally holding a 40 caliber, and finally I had to tell him, "Mister, stop right there. Don't come any closer to me." And I'll never forget those eyes all of a sudden becoming like saucers, and whatever drug he was on at that point made him realize, I'm about to die if I continue on with the actions that I'm doing. And he was obviously messed up on something on there, and I wound up literally giving him a gallon of gas for his truck in case, because he said he had no gas and couldn't go anywhere else. I allowed him to pour a gallon out of my 5-gallon can into his truck and wished him a happy night on down the road. But at the same time, had he continued on at me, I would have allowed him to meet Jesus.
I think there's a look that comes in your eyes that if somebody's actually paying attention, they say, I had the exact same type of a thing happen where, the guy was one step away from me shooting him. And, I looked at him and I said, "Brother, man, you really just don't want to do this." Mm-hmm. And he looked and I must have had that look because he was being really super aggressive.
Yep.
And then at that very last second, he's like, "No problem." And he turned around and he walked out. And it was all over water across my driveway. Mm-hmm. My driveway.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. It's the sidewalk. And it's long story. I won't get into it, but all about the water that is there that isn't even my fault, kind of a thing, going across the sidewalk into my driveway. And I'm like, not happening.
Well, Scott, we have taken an hour of your time. Do you have any parting words of wisdom for our audience and the podcast that'll be listening to this for generations to come?
There's a lot of information out there. There's some good. There's even more bad. Mm-hmm. If you can't tell the difference between the good or the bad, find someone you trust to tell you whether it's good or bad information. I've been to a lot of these conferences. I presented at a lot of these conferences. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because when I present, first thing I do is I give people my phone number. I said, "This is my cell phone number. And if you've been to my class, I do this. Yeah. And if you have a question and want to call me, this is my number, and you can call me." And I bet you I haven't had, and I probably had close to 1,000 people in classes. I bet you I haven't had 3 people call me.
Isn't that crazy?
It's like, and the first time I did it, someone that shall not be named said I was absolutely nuts to do that. And I see everyone's furiously scribbling down the number, but they don't call.
Are you sure you didn't give them my number? Because they seem like to call me all the time. So
Well, yeah, but you're a loudmouth, you have a high profile. I'm just some old white guy out in Arizona, doesn't know anything about cleaning anything.
Yeah.
I don't know how to sell, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
You know nothing
I
about
just know how to
bleach
bid
and this.
contracts. I just put in a number in contract. I just automatically get it.
Yeah.
It's just a form. You're just filling out random
filling
stuff.
out
Right. There's no thinking or planning for it.
Yeah, not at all.
But find a Yinta. Find someone that you can trust.
Yeah.
That can give you. And there's lots of people out there willing to give you advice.
Mhm.
If you don't, there's just so many people out there willing to give you advice. I'm willing to help anyone anytime they call me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny. The advice, is the advice free advice? A lot of times is worth exactly what you paid for it.
True.
But on the other hand, too, though, we've pointed this out on past, broadcasts of this. Whenever the advice always has a price tag attached to it or a link to this is the pressure washer that I use. This is what I use to start to become a $1 million producer or whatever it is. Then you got to sit there and scratch your head and go, is this really actually legit advice? Because I don't believe you're running $1 million company with a AAA pump on a Honda 260 machine. Call me skeptical, but
I call that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's amazing. But the thing is I've called you before saying, hey, I don't know how to do this. Remember I called you about some tannin stains from some leaves at a baseball stadium. I called you. How do I do? Because it's not something I do every day.
And after mocking you for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, it's bleach, dummy.
What do you mean you don't know how to use bleach?
But there's no one that knows everything. You wouldn't know you probably wouldn't know the first thing about going at bidding and planning a bus stop cleaning route.
No, you are absolutely correct. You're absolutely
because
correct.
That's my area of expertise. Yeah. But I also know about washing trucks because
I wouldn't know about the logistics involved. I mean,
I disagree, guys. I disagree. Ray would know. His first thing he would do is pick up the phone and call Scott.
Oh, Scott, yeah, true. I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, and I would tell you everything I know. Yeah. Everything that you can stand to listen to me talk about.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, you're right. I would actually know. Hey, I got a friend that does this, or I know somebody that does this.
Yeah. And you also know me well enough, and you probably can tell from this conversation. I'm not one to go blabbering on just to hear myself talk. Right. I'm going to give it to you as briefly.
That's what we do, Doug.
Yeah, that's what we're good at. Yeah.
Well, Doug, I know we have to wrap this up.
We all have our talents.
Scott, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
I consider you just an absolute true gentleman, and guys.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad to have you on here.
Scott's an awesome person. Scott's one of those people he's real. He's true blue, and I'm a better person for having this man in my life. So I mean that sincerely.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. And thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
We'll see y'all next week. And Michael Draper next week, we're going to talk about safety.
Awesome. Scott, thank you again. Guys, thank you all for watching.
Okay.